Hey, what's up? My name is Sky, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I built this custom DIY farmhouse style nightstand. So without further ado, let's get it. Real quick, if you haven't seen our DIY King TV bed build, be sure to check that video out. I'll leave a link to the video down in the description below. These nightstands were designed to go with the overall look of that bed. I first got started by constructing the right and left side panel. Each side panel consists of 2 legs and 1 sheet of plywood. To attach the side legs to the plywood, I would use wood glue and pocket hole screws. But I had to keep in mind to drill the pocket holes in places where they will not be seen once the build was complete. I wanted the plywood to be recessed in between the 2 legs. So in order to do so, I would make sure the inside of the plywood, the side with the pocket holes, were flushly mounted against one side of the legs. And to help me keep everything in place while I screwed it together, I would use clamps. I guess I should have done this step before attaching the side legs, but I didn't. So anyway, I went ahead and drilled pocket holes in the top of the side panels. These pocket holes later on will be used to attach the nightstand top. Now that I was done with the side panels, it was now time to move on to the back cover. The back cover consists of 2 pieces of 3/4 of an inch plywood that I had previously cut down to 15 7/8 by 8 inches. In order to attach the side panels to the back cover, we'll use pocket hole screws on both the left and right sides of the top and bottom back cover. And the pocket holes at the very top of the top back cover will be used later on to attach the nightstand top. To help with the integrity of the nightstand, I used 2 pieces of 3/4 of an inch plywood that will also act as a frame for the drawer. And for aesthetic purposes, I recessed them so the drawer front will be flush with the side legs when shut. Before using wood glue to secure the top and bottom plywood strips, I would make sure that the top strip was flush with the tops of the side panels, and that there was a 5.5 inch spacing between the tops of the side panels and the top of the bottom plywood strip. Later on, we'll use this space between the top and bottom plywood strip to install a drawer. But before I can even get to building the drawer, I made sure to install 2 3/4 of an inch shelves using wood glue and pocket hole screws along the bottom sides of the shelves. When installing the top shelf, I made sure that the back of the shelf was flushly mounted against the most bottom portion of the back cover. And before mounting the bottom shelf, we'll make sure it's flush with the bottom of the side panels in the back of the rear legs. Building the drawer was pretty straightforward. It consisted of 4 sides and a bottom. I kept the front and back boards sandwiched in between the 2 outer boards. By doing this, it allows for one continuously flat side, which will make it easier for a drawer slide to mount to. It also allows for you to put the pocket holes in places where they will not be seen once the build is complete. I would use clamps and scraps of plywood to secure the bottom as I screwed it in place. Using the manual that came with the drawer slides, I installed the drawer slides, then the drawer. After installing the drawers, you can really see this thing starting to come together. Now all we had to do was add the finishing touches. Now it was time for the trim. The trim was pretty much cut to fit, but aesthetically, when it came to the bottom shelf, I wanted it to look a little thicker than the top shelf. So using 3/4 of an inch pine wood, I made the bottom trim 1/4 of an inch thicker than the top. And for the rest of the trim, I also used 3/4 of an inch pine wood as well. And like I said, it was pretty much cut to fit, so there was no need to measure. When installing the trim on the front of the shelf, it was very important for me to make sure that the top of the shelf and the top of the trim were flush. By doing this, it made for a smooth transition from the shelf to the trim. And as for the trim on the side panels, I also used 3/4 of an inch pine wood with a height of 1 1/4 inches. Using 3/4 of an inch pine board, I thought it would be a good time to start making the drawer front. So using a cove bit, I decided I would route the edges. Here, I would use clamps to position the drawer front before screwing it into place. Now it was time for me to finish the trim along the side panels. I wasn't too worried about my cuts being perfect, because I knew with the help of wood putty, I could fix that. At this point, we were almost ready for stain and paint. But before I could even get there, I knew I had to make the nightstand top first. I first got started by cutting off the rounded edges of a 2x8. Next, I ran the 2x8 through a planer to plane it down to 1 inch. I then cut the board in half and pocket screwed them together. Later on, we'll secure it to the top of the nightstand by using the pocket holes that I made on the side panels and the ones on the back cover. It was now time to stain the nightstand. We stained all the parts that we knew we would go back later on to distress once painted. Since this is a bedroom set, we decided to use the same colored chalk paint that we use for our King TV bed build. And since chalk paint sands really well, it'll make the distressing process easier. To seal and protect the nightstand, we would use a water-based polyurethane for the nightstand top and a protective top coat after distressing with an orbital sander for the rest of the nightstand.
Where am I going? From here I don't know. I need direction. Show me where to go. Gotta get back where I started. Without you all I see is darkness. And you're not to blame for these hardships. I'm coming back home to your heart, yeah. I'm coming back home to your heart. I'm coming back home to your heart. I'm coming back home to your heart. I'm coming back home where I started. There you are, and here I am, right where I belong. Right where I belong. You pick me up every time that I fall. The way that you love me, I'm at a loss for words. And I'll never leave. Lord, I'm sincerely yours.
Whoa, yeah, buddy, we gon' keep talking cold. And I hang with a few, cause the most do the most. Wine bottles on the table, get the chairs and a toast. Cause we didn't save ourselves, it was God as our boast.